So good morning. Today, or I guess it's afternoon, we're going to understand function notation and how to evaluate a function given function notation. So what I need everyone to do is to go down here to the practice. This practice will be due tomorrow, so we have 2 days to work on this. And you're going to open it up. I'm going to open it up with Cami. I already have mine open. So here it is. This is what you should have. So what is a function? You're used to seeing a function. Function's the same thing as y. So whenever you see y equals, like this says y equals x squared plus 7. Another way of saying y equals is f of x or g of x or even h of x. So all this is a name. So if you have multiple equations, it's a good way to tell them apart. So f of x, that's how it's read. You say f of x. And then what confuses kids is they try to solve for f like a variable. F is not a variable. It's just the name of the function. So here's an example. You're used to y equals 6x. Y equals 6x is a straight line. And instead of using y equals, we're going to use f of x. So if I rewrite this using function notation, you would just say f of x is 6x. Okay, and that's all. And then anytime you see f of x, if that's confusing to you, you could change f of x back into a y. Okay, so sometimes I remember when I first started with functions, I found them very confusing. So if I saw this, I would write it down as y equals 6x, just so I remembered like what it was, because you're used to seeing it like this, not in function form. So what would this be in function notation? Well, I would say 7 plus x squared equals, so I'd say 7 plus x, and a kid just taught me this trick up here on the top. There's a square button. 7 plus x squared, space bar. This one. 7 plus x squared, I'm going to guess I hit it again, yes, equals, and since we already called the other one f, we're going to call this g. Okay. Now, if this were a traditional class, I would stop and I would say, okay, I want you to try those two yourself. But to keep the video as short as possible, I'll let you do those two yourself after. So I will post a recording of this video, and I'm going to keep moving. The next skill is evaluating a function. And the word evaluate, it has the word value in it. It means find the value after I do whatever I ask you to do. So here, evaluate y equals negative 3x plus 1 when x is 2. So what does that mean? That means that when x is 2, they want you to put 2 in here and find the y value. So all you're doing is you're taking 2 and plugging it in for x. That is the way you're used to seeing. Okay, you should know how to do that from Algebra 1. And what do I get? I get y equals negative 3 times what x is 2, plus 1. If I do the math real fast, negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Negative 6 plus 1 is negative 5.
Mr. Parks?
Yes.
So for these evaluate ones, do we like solve for it, or do we just like plug it in and not do the math?
Evaluate, you're not solving, you're just substituting the value in to get the answer.
Okay.
Next, find f of 2 given this function. So it's the same exact question, just written in function notation form. So what does that mean? That means you're going to take this 2. I could do better than that. You're going to take this 2 and you're going to put it in for x. So this normally says f of x, and all f of 2 means is take the 2 and plug it in. So f of 2 means, what do you get back when I input 2? What is the output? So you just take the 2, replace the x, so you get -3 times 2 plus 1. You do the math there. F of 2, all that means is, what do you get when you plug 2 in? And then -3 times 2 is -6. -6 plus 1, -5. So notice, these are the same question. This is in traditional x comma y form. This is in function notation form. But all that means is plug 2 in for x. So here, plug 3 into x, into the f function. Here, plug -4 in for x into the g function. Here, they want you to plug -2 into the f function, -1 into the g function, then subtract them. Here, plug -1 into the f function, 0 into the g function, and multiply them. So we'll do these 4 together. So f of 3. F of 3 equals, so all I'm doing, I'm finding the f function, and instead of x, I'm going to put a 3. So I get 3 plus 4. It might help to actually copy that down again. So there's my original function. So all I'm doing, all this means is take 3, put it in for x. So I did. If there's multiple x's, I would replace x with 3 on all of them. Okay, so what is 3 plus 4? That's 7. Oh, I do a new text box. So f of 3 equals 3 plus 4, 7. And you're done. G of -4, here's my g function. My g function says you take 4 times your x plus 9. So g of -4 means take 4 times -4 plus 9. You do the math there. G of -4, that means when I plug in -4, I do 4 times -4 is -16. -16 plus 9 is -5. Oh, -7. I don't know where I got -5 from. Okay. So it's actually pretty easy. All the number in parentheses mean is plug it in for x. Okay. So here, I'm going to plug -2 in. And this one, I'm not going to show us much work. I'm going to take -2, plug it into the f function. So what is -2 plus 4? That's 2. So f of -2 is 2. And then I'm going to take away -1 plugged into the g function. This is the g function. If I put -1 here, I'd get 4 times -1 is -4. -4 plus 9 is 5. So I get 2 minus 5. So 2 minus 5, that is -3. F of -1, that means go here to the f function, put -1 in for x. -1 plus 4 is 3. So f of -1 is 3. G of 0 means find the G function, plug 0 in for x. 4 times 0 plus 9 is 9. So I get 3 times 9. And 3 times 9 is 27. Okay, for me, this is enough work. I do require that you show your work on your practice. These are very simple things. Adding 4, multiplying by 4, and adding 9. Some teachers would say you have to show work on that. For me, that's very simple arithmetic. So I understand if this is all I see, but I should see something. Now, if you were in a math class, I would say, okay, I want you to try 1 through 4. And I do want you to do 1 through 4 on your own time. We just have a little bit more. I'm actually going to skip this part. I don't think it's very useful. So I'm going to cross it off. So I'm going to not worry about this part. I don't like the way it was explained. All right, now example 2 is a little different. Notice they're not asking us, well, we have our function, f of x is negative 5x plus 1, but now they want us to find x. And they tell us the output. So they're saying, what do you put into the function to get back 10? So this one says f of x equals 10. Before, it said f of the number. So they're wanting to know not what do you put in, what do you get out, but they're wanting to know what do I need to put into this function to get this output. So what x value will make this 10? So how can I get 10 back? So you would just say, okay, when does this equal 10? It equals 10 when you take negative 5 times something plus 1. All I did was I replaced f of x with 10 because they told me f of x is 10. So here, f of x is 10. So I just replace the f of x. So all I did was I took this 10 and I plugged it in, substituted it for f of x. And that's how I got this 10 here. So when does 10 equal negative 5x plus 1? Well, you just solve it like you did in Algebra 1. You would take away 1 from both sides. 10 minus 1 is 9. And then from there, you got 9 equals negative 5x. I'm going to rewrite that as negative 5x equals 9. Oops. Oh, I clicked out of it. Okay. So I'm going to flip that around and put negative 5x equals 9. It just looks nicer. All I did was I took this and wrote it over here. And then how do you solve this? You divide both sides by negative 5. Those cancel. And so I get x equals 9 divided by negative 5, or you could put negative 9 divided by 5. So x equals negative 9/5. So if you plug into the function negative 9/5, it will spit out 10. Okay. Here you would try these yourself. So find the x to get g of x equal to 8. So you would replace g of x with an 8, and you'd have 8 equals negative 3x minus 1, and then you would solve for x. Find x when f of x is negative 4. So you would put this as negative 4, and then solve for x. Find x when g of x is 9. Here's the j function. So you would replace this with 9, and then solve for x. Find x when h of x is negative 3. So you would replace this with negative 3. I'll do this one for you, and then you could do the other 3. So find x when h of x is negative 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this -3 and replace it here, because h of x equals -3. So now I get -3. I'm going to freehand this, equals, and then the negative sign I'm just going to bring to the top. The lights went out. Divided by x. So all this is asking is -12 divided by what is -3? Well, -12 divided by 4 is -3. So I would say x equals 4. So there's my final product. And let's check our work. If I plug 4 in, let's see if I get back -3. If I plug 4 in, I get -12 divided by 4 is -3, and that's what the h function is. Let's see. We're going to keep going for a little bit. I might make the lesson tomorrow a little shorter. So what we're going to do here, they're just wanting to know, like, is -10, is that the x or the y? Is 2 the x or the y? So you could think of this as just -10, comma 2, if that helps. So here's what you input. This is your output. So normally x is your input, y is your output. So that's how you would write that as a coordinate. Here you would write that as 3, 1. Okay. For the following expressions, identify the information given. So what is x? X would be 3. We don't know what y is yet. I don't see the purpose in that. Next, so we could cross this part out too. Don't worry about that. I like to use guided notes, but I don't always use everything in the notes. So here now we have a table, and they want you to look at the table and identify the information. So the first one is f of 3. All this means is when x equals 3, what is y? That's what that means. Well, look over here. When x is 3, y is 1. So you would just say f of 3 is 1. Here, when x is -2, what is y? Well, when x is -2, y is 3. This is the opposite. What number do I put in for x to get a y value of 8, an output? So how do I get 8 back? So I look in this column for an 8. So what do I need to put in? A 0. And then here, what x value makes a y value of 1? Well, here's 1. You would plug in 3. So those really aren't too difficult. And then I would let you try those yourself. I want you to finish those yourself. And then finally, you could identify coordinates and function notation. So like here's a function for a graph. And so they say, what is f of -6? So you go find -6. It's right here. Okay. And you're going to trace that down until you get to the graph, which is right here. So when x is -6, what is the y? Y would also be -6. Here, what x value gets a y of 1? So I go up here to 1. I trace it over. what X value would that be? That looks like to be 8. So when I plug 8 in, I get back 1. So here I would say 8. So I hope you see the difference here. This is asking about what X makes that Y. This is saying when the X is -6, what is the Y? When I plug 0 in for X right here, what do I get back? So when I go 0, what do I get? I get -3. And what do I need to plug in for X to get -7? Here's -7. I would plug in a, looks like to be a -8. And then I would have you do those for yourself. Okay, this is a lesson that I have designed for today and tomorrow. I just so happened to get through it all today. I went through it pretty fast on purpose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post a recording of this. And then because I went through the whole thing, tomorrow will be a work day and I'll be available for tutoring if you need some extra help. But so we won't have any live Zoom tomorrow. I'm going to change that on Canvas since I went through the whole thing today. But tomorrow is just a work day. And then also, if I remember correctly, that's my other assignment. Ignore that. So I have here a live Zoom, but I'm going to change that where I'm just going to be on Zoom if you need help. So just let me know beforehand if you plan to come so that I'm not just sitting here staring at myself. Otherwise, I'm just sitting here on Zoom all by myself, and that's no fun. So just send me a quick email. I'm always checking my email. I see I have 2 emails. I won't click those on the recording, but you know, if you email me and let me know you need tutoring and it's during this time, I'm good to do that. So that's all we're going to do today and tomorrow. So if you're good, finish the practice. It's where it says you try, and you should also have all the notes filled in that I did with you. But other than that, unless you have any questions, feel free to sign off and I'll end the video right here. Bye-bye.